I will start off. And so, Commissioner Helmy did ask us to cover certain things and certain topics really related to District 4 and the areas surrounding District 4. We try to do ample time at the end to ask any additional questions. And if you have a question while we're on the topic, feel free to raise your hand. And I will say, I've been doing these for a while, these town halls, and this is by far the best crowd we've got, so I'm pretty excited that y'all are here. So here are the topics. And we've got, besides myself, we've got most of our senior staff here at the county. We also, the superintendent of the school district is also here, Yancy Ford, so we should be able to cover any information or requests that y'all have. We even have the mayor, councilman from City of Springfield here as well. But the topics we're going to discuss is DRT, my 3 least favorite letters in the alphabet, Staffordshire, which is really related to drainage, Low Ground Road and what we have planned there. We also, within the district is where a lot of the work on the new water treatment plant is going in and the wastewater treatment plant expansion. Growth that's occurring specifically in District 4. And then we get into infrastructure with regards to roads, facilities, and parks. So with that, I will start off with DRT. And what I really want to start off with DRT, and you all may not be able to see this, and if you'll want to relocate closer so you can see the screen, if not, I'll try and read it out as best I can. So DRT came here in 2017, and a lot of folks, you know that it's some sort of chemical distillation process, but they don't know exactly what they do. And so what they do is when paper mills produce a wastewater stream, and within that it's what's called sulfate turpentine is the waste stream that comes out of the paper mills. So that is their raw product that they take in. Then they distill that and try and get resources out of it. The 3 of the things they get out of it is alpha-pinene, beta-pinene, and dipentene, which are products of essentially that you get out of a wood pulp. That gives that very heavy pine scent. They use those and to manufacture perfumes, fragrances, and adhesives. Then they also remove the sulfur from the waste product that they receive, and then they sell it right back to the paper mills to use it in their processing. So, and then at the end of the day, there's a waste stream that is everything that cannot be recycled in that, and that is what that is really the source of the smell that you have to endure at times from them. So they originally built the plant in the location that they're doing because it was close proximity to the wastewater treatment plant in the city of Springfield. However, early on they realized that they could not get the waste stream to meet the quality levels that the wastewater treatment plant required, so they didn't take it. And so now they put all of that waste stream into tanker trucks every day and ship it off to other waste facilities, either in the state or out of state. So that's the basics of what the what the process is there. And it's really that waste stream is that at the end of the day, that the stuff that can't get recycled, that's the heavy pungent odor. So we've got a history of events events over the years at DRT, starting in 2019, that there was a fire and it kind of blew off a hatch because it's a pressurized distillation system. Then the distillation column, there was a fire in 2022, and then again in 2022 the thermal oxidizer, which is part of the process where they clean and scrub the steam that comes out of the system. They use the thermal oxidizer to essentially remove a lot of the pollutants. So that exploded in 2022. Then, if you remember, just recently this year, at the beginning of the year, there were some filter medium that was had big alpha pinene on all over it. That caught on fire on the storage yard, and then there was yet another thermal oxidizer failure, and that, if maybe in the last like 4 months, when that really pungent odor, you know it's when the thermal oxidizer fails, because that's the thing that really does the job of scrubbing the impurities out of the waste stream. So those are the series of events that either the emergency management of the county or the fire department had to deal with over the years. And so the problem really started to get substantially worse right around that 2022 time point, and that's when we had regular occurrences. Every once in a while prior to that, you'd have an odor here or there, but it wouldn't be that strong or that pungent. It would just be inconvenience. But since 2022, there have been recurring instances of a very, very strong pungent odor at the plant. What has the county done? The county has, keep in mind, and this is the county-wide services, which is the fire department and the emergency management. They respond to the events. City of Springfield has ordinances that they are enforcing with regards to nuisance and nuisance odor. But as for managing the site, particularly the handling of the waste stream, that falls under EPD and EPA. I have myself been to 2 meetings with the director of EPD in Atlanta on this issue alone, along with several conference calls, as well as the EPA officials who have a little bit more resources than EPD in dealing with this. I can tell you just from communication with them that there is an active enforcement case right now that is under essentially disposition and investigation by EPD. I'm not sure if it's by EPA as well, with regards to some of those instances that occurred earlier in the year. And my understanding is that there's also code violations that have been cited on them as recently as, I believe, last week. And so one of the things we want to do, because one of the things we constantly hear from DRT when they're confronted about this, is that that it's not us, right? That it's somebody else, right? You know, it's the wastewater treatment plant. It's it's the paper mill. Often we were able to prove that it's them, but it's very difficult to determine the source of an odor, and my opinion is they know that, and that's why they use this as an excuse. So one of the things we're looking at doing is creating a steering committee just so nobody can question the results. We're going to get members of the public, we're going to get members from the school district, from the municipalities, the county, emergency services, environmental groups, all together to hire one firm who will then come in And there are actual firms out there who can do this, that can source the odor when the instances occur. We'll do it over a 6-month period of time. This way there'll be no questions as to what the source is, and every time there's an event, we're able to properly cite them. So that's where we are with DRT. It's been a long and painful process in dealing with them. We're using every arrow in our quiver to enforce the relevant ordinances and laws that are on the books with them. But it's a very frustrating process because things just don't seem to be getting better. And so hopefully, once they start getting hit in the pocketbook enough, they'll take the necessary actions to correct the issue. Can you go to the next one? So that's kind of an update on where we are at DRT. The next thing I wanted to bring up, and I know this might be difficult to see, is Staffordshire, and this is for folks who weren't able to attend the meeting when we came up with the solution for this. And so what you're seeing right here is what the current condition is, which is over here, which is on the left side, and what the condition will be after the corrections are made. And that's both by the developer and the county. And so what this is telling you then is when you get is this a 100-year storm?
That's right.
When a 100-year storm comes, all these blue areas the water will overflow the ponds, flood the streets, in addition to the backyards. The streets are a little bit lower than the backyards, right? So that's the yes, ma'am? Right. That's right. So there's multiple reasons for this. The number one reason is that when the original developer built it, the depth of the ponds that they put in the plans do not meet the depth of the ponds that are actually built. So when a storm comes, there's not enough capacity to store the water so that it doesn't flow out into the neighborhood. The second problem here is that once the ponds fill up, they were supposed to go to a discharge point on the right-hand side of the neighborhood. That discharge point doesn't go anywhere. And so it simply just backs up the pond. And so let me kind of give you the solution because it's two parts to it. The first, which we are actively working on right now, we're just getting the right-of-way that's required. On the left-hand side, we will be having both a series of pipes and ditches, which gets the water when the ponds fill up. They will overflow out into that pipe and ditch, out to the stormwater system on Blue Jay, which then takes you down Effingham Parkway. There's a culvert that goes underneath there that then takes the water out to Dasher's Creek, and then out to the Savannah. So it gets the water where it's supposed to be going. That's the first phase. Yes? These ponds, even though they connect to the back, when they overflow, it creates the same problem, right? So essentially what will happen as these ponds fill up and as these ponds empty, right? Because what we're going to end up doing is putting a ditch and a pipe that gets you out here, which all of the water essentially is going to flow and then find the discharge point, which is over here. And as they fill up, they will have a way to exit the neighborhood. So yes, that does affect here as well, because this pond is connected to all these ponds back here.
Will they be affecting the islands that are already there?
The what?
The islands behind Aqueduct.
These islands?
The back property.
Yeah. I mean, they're
affecting those islands.
in the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the islands won't be affected because.
Okay, so they won't be tearing trees out.
No.
That's my guess.
No.
Okay.
So that's phase one. Phase one is to have the kind of relief valve, if you have it, that gets the ponds when they get filled out into the discharge system, which is Dasher's Creek, right? Phase two happens when the development gets expanded, where the developer overbuilds the capacity of the pond system and then connects them all so that they make up from the previous developers' lack of capacity in the pond system. So these ponds that you see back here will then fill up. They are in excess of the capacity that's required to detain water for what's being developed back there. So that'll create more capacity in the system and a discharge for it to get out of the neighborhood during heavy rainflows. So like I said, phase one, which you'll see the most relief from, is under works right now. You know, the issue is we just have to get the necessary easements from the property owners, and we're working on that on that actively right now. And you had a question back there, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so my house is at the end of your cul-de-sac where that gentleman was saying.
Okay.
And we have a drain between our house and the neighbor's house that goes nowhere. It goes to that field, and you ask multiple people who's responsible because it gets to the end of that drain, and there's no culverts on our road. So that water goes between the two houses and stays there. It goes nowhere. It does not go to a pond. It doesn't go nowhere.
Good. You want to answer this, John?
I can.
Okay, this is the county engineer. He did the entire model, so he may be able to answer that question.
Yeah, hey, John Holmes, county engineer. So what you're talking about is intended to, there's a flumes that drain back to the field in between, and it's intended to go from there through ditches to get to the pipes that are there, and then it goes into the pond. So the question is who is going to maintain that? And so what I need to look into is seeing if the county has an easement there or not. But,
Have you been around there lately?
yes, ma'am. I was out there during Debbie, and I saw.
It's not being taken care of, right?
I saw the amount of flooding that happened during that event. So anyway, so yeah, let me dig and see what I can find as far as who is responsible for maintaining that, and then we'll see what we can do to get that.
Because our house is flooded because that water has nowhere to go because whoever maintains it is not maintaining.
So
Right. Yeah. It gets down to if it's maintained properly, it'll drain correctly. That's the issue.
The left side is supposed to drain towards center of the bag. It actually, from what I was told, it's supposed to go along that with the.
Yeah, there is some of it that discharges to Blue Jay towards the front. There is some of those ponds, but the back ponds here and the back drainage system here drains to the back. The front area here, where this little pond is, will drain to Blue Jay, and at the entrance of the neighborhood, it's really where it's split. So when you're here, It drains to the west towards Skinner's Bay and then goes under Blue Jay and goes to Skinner's Bay. When you're on the other side of the entrance of the neighborhood, it drains to the east towards Effingham Parkway and Dasher's Creek.
Sure.
So it's two separate drainage points. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, if you guys are gonna do that, who's supposed to follow to make sure they did it correctly? Because obviously you said they didn't build it all correctly.
Well,
So who's following up to make sure they're building the next one correctly?
Okay, so I will tell you that when they built the first side, until and this was a decade ago or however long ago it was, the inspections and the monitoring of it were not adequate on the county's end, because the county is in itself accepting all of these assets, all of the stormwater system that we have to maintain. And so when they built these ponds, there should have been engineer reports, well, there were engineer reports stating that they were built to the specs when they were not.
And the way
So what recourse do we have to that? Do we sue the county? Do we sue him?
But,
What recourse do we have to that? Do we sue you? Do we sue them?
Yeah, can we back up one step real quick? Can you explain easements?
okay, yeah, so an easement simply is the right to use a piece of property. In this case, it would be what's called a drainage easement. So it's basically the right to use a piece of property to flow water through via a ditch or a pipe. So for all you want to know what an easement is, we have to essentially get the property rights to create that flow that goes from point A to point B. To your question is once the county and the county accepts the infrastructure, we've agreed to accept the infrastructure if it's built to the proper standards that we're requiring of the new developer. Once we accept the infrastructure and it's in place, it is the county's responsibility to make sure it's maintained.
Well, why weren't we notified as homeowners that it was being built? We didn't know.
You were living there, right?
Yeah, I lived there. But we didn't get letters, nothing.
Was this an HOA before? I mean, was there?
It's still there, it's okay, but we've not seen, we don't even have.
Are you talking about the area in the back?
The whole thing.
Yeah, there was, they did have signage out to let them know where the additional areas of development was. And quite frankly, I'm going to tell you that the development of the back area helps fix the problem. The development of the back area helps fix the problem because he's agreeing to build ponds that are much larger.
If you develop.
What?
Yeah, he's not fixing it unless he can develop. And that's the issue. We've been living there for 10 years, that he would not fix this problem unless y'all agree.
Okay, and I'm not here to defend the current developer. What I will tell you is that the person who developed the existing neighborhoods is not the person who is developing the back neighborhoods. So therefore, he has no legal obligation to fix it, right? And I can't get somebody who's out of business to come in and fix a drainage system. The county is stepping up. The county has agreed to do the study and step up and purchase the easements to fix the bad work of the previous developer.
So he will not be developing the new homes behind us.
Yes.
Not the whole building. Not the
What?
whole one. Not the whole.
Yeah, so the old developer is no longer in business anymore.
Yeah.
The new developer is taking on the responsibility, and part of his conditions to be able to develop that rear portion back there.
Because our concern is if we're going to have the same thing in the back that we have already.
It was to assume addressing this problem.
Hey, sir, we have a bigger issue with our community because we, that's in charge of the HOA, we have, residents have no.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, the county has nothing to do with that. All right? That is a civil issue if you have it with the HOA and the developer. We are taking care of the area that we have a responsibility for, which is the drainage of the stormwater.
And y'all will make sure it's maintained, unlike our other.
Once it's turned over to us, we will make sure it's maintained. Yes, sir.
If possible, get some kind of commitment or promise that y'all could do the pond and make sure it works before you allow them to sell and build on the lots.
Yes, and so that has to be done first, right? They cannot sell a house until they get what's called a final plat. And the final plat includes the construction and the handover of all the stormwater infrastructure, not the ponds, right? But the ponds have to work with the drainage system that's there. The ponds are maintained by the neighborhood of the HOA, but the ponds have to function as they are set to do in the plans. So all that has to be done before any house is built.
And do we have a timeline of phase one of when you?
Phase one, we are right now, we have the plan, we are working with the property owners. I think the county engineer was out there with the property owners last week to move forward with all of the acquisitions that we're required to get. So that one, we are moving forward as quickly as we can on. And then as soon as we get those, then construction starts.
Okay, so the only involvement that the new builder has as far as drainage is that second.
Oh, no, he has to help, he's going to be responsible, we're responsible for getting the easements, he's responsible for doing the construction of the drainage system under the county's supervision.
So I do have one last concern. There are still some areas where there's going to be standing water that's, it's like behind those stretches of houses on the backside, like towards the field and stuff like that.
If what we're saying does not resolve the issue, but we believe it should, because that area should drain to the back ponds.
I have no doubts that it's going to fix the road, but there's still standing water in there.
Okay, so we can address that on a case-by-case basis with the county engineer. So if there's areas when rain comes and everything drains out properly, but then there's like just standing water that's not drained because the
Well, I mean, Staffordshire is known to have horses and stuff, and having standing water with horse feet.
right. So if it's not addressed by the fixes, the county will be out there to make sure that any of the areas that are missed by the fixes get resolved. Yes. What's that?
Yes.
Please.
So this is a great time to promote the applicants.
Yeah, at the end of this, I'm going to show you a slide where you can easily report issues, including drainage issues and stormwater issues, to the county, so that we get them a lot quicker. It'll generate a ticket, but at the end, I have that link with the QR code, so if you all want to download it to help. This gentleman is first.
Alan Zimper, and I got a question probably for Jonathan. The pipe that you're going to put in, how much is it going to lower the level of the outfall lake, last lake that the pipe's going in?
I believe it's going to be about a 1.5 feet from the normal water elevation. That's primarily the purpose of that pipe that's going to go in. It's going to help lower the normal water condition in those ponds. So it's going to not only give you more capacity, but I mean it's also going to be additional outfall as well.
But it will drop it down where water won't be standing in catch basins in these people's yards in front of their house.
That's correct. That's the intention.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we had an experience with that.
Okay.
With that, probably worked for us. And it fixed the issue.
What was the issue?
Ditch being dug so deep that the mail carrier's car is sliding when they deliver mail.
Okay, so the ditches, okay, I mean, we can, sometimes we will try and fix something, and it won't fix the problem. And as frustrating as it is, at that point, you just simply have to let us know again that because it's not as if we ignored the request, right? We went out there, they tried to fix it, it didn't fix the problem. So you just got to let us know that I'm submitting this report again, the problem was not fixed. So,
We didn't do an ID.
okay, fair enough.
And then I have the lift station, they just put in.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have any more issues, and I appreciate you talking about that, when we have any more issues with overflow of sewage in our roadways.
No, and I will tell you, part of that issue was related to during Debbie. It was, okay, so, and part of the problem is with the lift station, just so you know, it's a combination of two things, right? Is that all the water fills up, right? And if there are breaks in the cleanouts or so on and so forth, it'll start to flow out of the sewer system, right? And so once the water table goes down, it does eliminate that problem. There was a really bad problem during Debbie because somebody removed the cap of their clean out and flushed their whole system out into the street. And so in that case, that's what's going to happen. But this issue gets resolved by eliminating the standing height of the water.
Oh, we've got pictures of us.
Sure, I believe me, I know.
Storm drainage, we actually have pictures of fish in the street.
Fish? Yeah. So if they're in the storm, if they're part of the storm system, from the ponds, they go into the storm drains, then they come up through the gutters. That will happen when you have flood. So this will hopefully eliminate that, and hopefully phase 1 will eliminate it. And then phase 2 will just make it much better during severe storm situations. Yeah, that's because we're not going through your property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to take it a different direction through another property. Okay, moving on from Staffordshire to the next item, which is Low Ground Road. Okay, so what I want to tell you about Low Ground Road is that Low Ground Road is essentially 15 years ago, it was a dirt road. Then they put an ash base on top of that with a chip seal, which is just a little bit of gravel and liquid tar to give it a little bit of a surface treatment on it. That's essentially the road. It's an upgraded dirt road as it is right now. And so what we are going to do, and it's going to be one of our most expensive road projects, local road projects in the county, is convert that into a standard road. And let me give you the differences of it, and then I'll show you some pictures of what a standard versus what this road looks like. So again, this is dirt, and then there's some fly ash, and then there's some what's called chip seal, which is gravel and liquid tar. That's your existing road. It is going to be replaced with 10 inches of soil cement, and then 3 inches of asphalt on top of that, which is our standard for medium connector roads. Right now, the total length of the surface of that road is 18 feet. So you have 9-foot lanes. We can barely squeeze in even if we wanted to, a stripe in the middle of the road. We're going to move that to 11-foot lanes, and then in addition, right now you have no shoulder on that road. You will have an 11-foot lane on each side with a 2 3-foot paved shoulder and a 4-foot unpaved shoulder. So it's going to be a substantial improvement, not just to the road structure, but to the safety of the road, and it's the ability to drain the road will also be grossly improved. That is going to require us to widen the right-of-way that we have on that road. Right now, it's 40 feet. In order to build a standard road structure, we need 100 feet. So we're going to be purchasing additional right-of-way from the residents there to get it to that width. And then the drainage is going to improve. So rather than these cut ditches that you have on there that go right off the pavement, you'll have swales, and you'll even have, in some areas, we'll be installing pipe for better flow of stormwater off the road. And if you look at the next photo, you can't really see it, but this top photo is really what the road is right now. It's 18 inches wide. This really isn't accurate because it's a much more severe ditch that comes off the road. We will be replacing it a much wider stretch so that we will have much wider flow of water through the swales, much wider roads, much wider shoulders, and we will even have enough if in the future we ever needed to put a separated bike path on. We can put that on there. It's not part of the first phase. But because we need that for utility easements and so on and so forth, we will have enough space to put that in their future, considering this is a very long east-west road corridor for the county. So where are we on this? Right now we're still in design. We know how to fix the road. That's been determined. And so right now we're in the design of the drainage system and the lanes and the shoulders. We expect to start right-of-way acquisitions in August of this year. That generally takes, for a road this long, takes a little bit of time. We expect that they have it as February 2027. I don't think it's going to take that long, but just to be safe, they have a very conservative date there. And then construction will begin in February of 2027. Now, you probably noticed they've been doing a little work on the road recently, and because the road we're talking about a 2027 start date on it, we wanted to do a temporary fix on the road, which puts another layer of chip seal on the road, which will smooth out some of the potholes and some of the broken chip seal on the side. So that's being done right now, just kind of as a Band-Aid to get us to this full project. It's one of the, like I said, it's one of the more complicated and expensive road projects that we're doing, and it's all part of the T-Plus funding for the road.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the right-of-way acquisitions, is that including the acquisition for first round? Is that including the walking path amount also, or is that what
Yeah, so we do it all as 100 foot, and because that, we can put the walking path the same place where we put the utilities on top of it, so we need that kind of utility easement as well on the side of the road. So it's all one right-of-way purchase. Yes, ma'am. Just
Sorry, I have a couple questions. Is it going to be a truck route when it's done?
No.
So is there a way that we can get a truck route, the trucks enforced on that road? Because they're the ones tearing it up.
Yeah, so I can tell you the only area that there's going to be trucks on it until it closes down is the surface line that is on low ground right now. That is the only because that is our entrance to the road. But once that closes down, there won't be any more trucks allowed. There should be any trucks there anyway, but the trucks would be crazy to drive on it right now. But we do know that dump trucks, when you pave this road, trucks will be using it as a bypass, and so we will be shutting this down for any through truck traffic. It's vehicular only.
So right now, there are trucks, I live on the track, I have all the local trucks, that turn from Midland and go all the way down to Hall, and a dump trucks. They don't have license plates, I don't know all the report this week, but they're not, all the service line, they're not, I know that they have the truck and business, they're not all these house. And I know you guys are going to stare at our road, I'm cut through.
Do we have on the app, do we have anywhere to report truck violations on it?
We don't, but we can add it.
Because what I want to do, I mean, this is kind of the struggle that we have, is that moving vehicle enforcement, we can't do anything about. It's up by the sheriff's department. But we want to create a mechanism so this can be reported to the sheriff so that he can send people there. If they're doing what you're saying they're doing, which I have no doubt that they are, then they're currently violating the truck ordinance.
Multiple sheriff's departments, multiple sheriff's officers, even Sheriff McDuffie, and he said that it's a state route, and has to be GS that comes out, so there's anything on the.
No, that is, Low Ground Road is not a state route. It is. What's that? Low Ground Road is a county-maintained road, and it's a county-owned road. And so, if it's, and I'll expand on this in a little bit, but unless the county designates it as a truck route, which we have not, right, under our truck ordinance, trucks are not allowed on it unless their destination or origination point is on the road, right, which is that surface line. But if they're using that as a cut through, that's a violation, right? So one of the reasons we, and I'll get to Blue Jay Road, we made massive improvements to Blue Jay Road. We widened it, we did thicker pavements, we did the big shoulders and so on and so forth, is so that if the trucks, they need a way to get east to west, they'll use Blue Jay Road. It'll be safer than an ash road or a dirt road. And so they should not be using that road. I will bring it up to the sheriff's office when I talk to them, but I also want to give you all the mechanism that, because what we see a lot with these surface line companies is that they'll get like a big customer come in, and then it'll be like, 200 trucks a day, and then it'll slow down and die off. So I want the residents to have an ability to record when they're using it as a cut route. We'll set that up so that you can actually do it in an email or you can do it on the app. The reason we say the app is because it's so easy. It's 3 buttons and it's sent to us. Yes, ma'am?
I live on Long Station Road, we have the same problem.
Yes.
There's a sign at the end of the road that says no trucks over this size. We call the sheriff's office, they might go monitor it for a week and it's right back in.
Okay,
So
so
it's not constant monitoring.
I know it's not constant monitoring, but I'll tell you part of the problem with Rahn Station Road and Low Ground is that we had no other means, and they were using the dump trucks were using kind of a loophole in the county ordinance. We eliminated that last month, where we're replacing all the signs. So what it means is that they have no choice. Before, if it's a shorter route, they can take Rahn Station to get to 21. Now they have to take McCall to 21. We are setting up a meeting with the sheriff's office on that to go over it. And so we did hear the concerns on that, and we changed the ordinance to affect it so that the sheriff will be able to enforce it, because he wasn't able to enforce it before, because they were saying it's a shorter distance to go Rahn Station than it is up to Springfield. And we eliminated that loophole. So I apologize for that inconvenience, and hopefully we can get enforcement to fix the problem. Yes, sir.
Because the Prairie Company has just been traveling on our station road left and right.
Right.
In the truck sometimes a day. I live on McCall and they just coming by. When are they going to do something with McCall?
So McCall, and I was going to actually, if you give me a few minutes, we'll get to the improvements that are coming from McCall.
Lamp was down, Lamp was in, and then on the other end, Springfield in.
Yep. Well, the whole thing exemption. I mean, the exemption, it technically was an exemption, just saying that because you're going from here to here, it's the shortest distance, and by the change in the law, that letter should not be valid anymore. And that's part of the reason why we're meeting with the sheriff's office, to make sure that's perfectly clear on that. It's up to them to enforce it, but I just want him to make sure that we did change the ordinance so that it can be more easily enforced by his officers. It's a struggle for the officers too, because they'll pull them over and the guy's like, yeah, I'm going from here to here, and here's my bill of lading, and it's an enormous inconvenience to enforce, and we just make it easier. Read it. Yeah, so 9th Street, of course that's Rincon, but there should be no truck traffic on that. But it's up to Rincon. It's up to Rincon to enforce that, but that road is being improved. And there is a solution that they're trying, that I'll show you later on, to try and get more trucks off of 21 and get them to the same location of McCall and Effingham Parkway. That's kind of in the works. It's just a little complicated. I'll show you what we're working on it. Robbie Bird, he's the city manager there. I don't know if Rincon has a truck ordinance. As a matter of fact, I might have spoken.
That road is listed as one that's not.
That's not a truck traffic.
Yeah. So yeah, reach out probably to Robbie and probably follow. I don't know if follow. She'll be all over it.
Next one. Okay, so. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. I didn't see you. So we'll answer both those questions. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
What's the speed limit going to be?
At Logrim. So right now, I believe it's 45 miles per hour. 35. Okay. We have no intention of increasing the speed limit of the road. We don't. It's a particular road, so we don't see the point of it. And so that's our goal, is to keep it at the current speed. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Another question? Yes, sir. When they get all of the. Oh, it'll be more than likely it'll be after the new road. Some of these things you have big customers and they can, they can close it out. I just don't know. But when they're closed out, they have to reclaim it, and they have to close their permit with the state.
Who says the speed limit's in the county?
Oh boy. It is a complicated process, and so when the set speed limit is easy to maintain, but if you want to change the speed limit, it's a very complicated process set by GDOT. It's done locally. We have to do a speed study for the road to determine the average speed, and then the actual speed is set by the average speed of the folks who are on the road. So I wish it could be so, we can change the speed limit, right? And not go through that process, but the sheriff will not be allowed to use radar to enforce the speed limit. So it's a very complicated, convoluted process that GDOT has us go through, but that's how it's set.
The reason I ask that is like courthouse, it's 55, one end, low ground road, from there to the freeway stops 45. There's no houses, there's nothing in there. Why is it 45 from low ground to Blanford? And I mean, that's.
I know. Okay, so then, yeah.
And then the little call is 45 from McCall all the way to Guy, but there's people that don't know that.
Okay, so we had to go when we did the realignment of McCall and Blue Jay, right, to get it farther away from the railroad tracks, and so the design they gave us had a two-way stop on it, and made it a direct route. If you're going from McCall to Blue Jay, you wouldn't have to stop. right? So that ended up being very difficult for people to figure out. And there was, within the first, like, 2 months of it, there was an unbelievable amount of accidents, right? Of people blowing through the stop sign, not looking before they pulled out, and so on and so forth. So in order to put the stop sign, we put a 3-way stop sign there, we had to do a slowdown before you got to the stop sign. And that is why it reduces from low ground to McCall, to Blanford.
Put maybe a power plant, 45, then down 35.
Yeah.
All the way back.
Well, we had to do it at an intersection. And so what we'll probably do is we'll readdress that issue when we put the roundabout in replacement of the 3-way stop.
I mean, just like they did right from the Kirkfield. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very dangerous. That needs to be dropped.
And believe me, I know that because I get the calls, when, they make their money and how quick they can turn these things around and get from one point to the next. And so, some of these videos I get from on station are absolutely ridiculous.
One thing you do need to do is put more speed limit signs up, because I've noticed there's a long distance between some of them.
Well, we can do that, and we will take care of that when we're going to be resurfacing the road in the summer.
I've called and asked, and
Yeah.
it's never been done.
Okay, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And we can look at, and we can see what our options are about maybe extending that 45 up to Rahn Station, maybe. Not to Rahn Station, up to Rahn. Yeah, we can look at that. That's right. Yeah, I don't drive faster than that, so I take it every day.
They ride the road all the time, but don't never see them out there trying to get it.
I got you. All right, so with that, I'm going to try and actually, this might not be exciting stuff to y'all, so that I can get to some of the facilities and the road stuff. I'm going to try and go through this really quick, but Commissioner Helmy, because it's predominantly in District 4, wanted me to go over it. Recently, and I say recently, I mean in February, in order to fix the water woes that are in the region, the state awarded the county approximately $320 million to essentially build our own water system and prevent us from having to purchase water from the city of Savannah. We can then be a provider to the region rather than the industrial customers taking massive amounts of water out of the aquifer. Right, so it's a very beneficial project, not just to Effingham County, but the region. The governor and the legislature believe that, and this is why they awarded it to us. I'll go through the map on it. It's actually going to be in 2 phases. The first will connect our current water system, which is provided by City of Savannah, and it will connect to I-16 and then provide water to the Hyundai plant, so the Hyundai plant can get off of the wells. Right now, the Hyundai plant can take 6 million gallons a day out of the Florida aquifer, and there's a lot of concerns with regards to how that affects agricultural areas and water supply. The Savannah is an abundant supply of water for the region. It makes more sense to put industry on that than it does on the aquifer. So the first section basically connects the Hyundai plant to where we tie into Savannah, and then the second phase is the more exciting part. We will be putting a new water intake 8 miles upriver from where Savannah's is, which is also in Effingham, and then pumping raw water into about the middle of the county where District 4 is, and then we will have a water treatment plant there where we can then and sell our own water rather than sell water that we purchase from Savannah, that Savannah takes in. So this is an exciting project. Again, none of it, even though the funding from it comes from two spaces. One of them is a direct grant, $160 million. The second is a very favorable loan, but none of it is paid for by tax dollars. It all comes out of, there are tap fees when new customers come online. Those tap fees or cost recovery fees are paid, and that's how the loan is paid. So it doesn't increase anybody's cost on this. If anything, it'll stabilize costs over a long period of time for water in the region. Next up is the wastewater treatment plant. Now, you all know if you live on low ground that the wastewater treatment plant is right off of low ground. We are expanding that. Again, we are, this project, unlike the last one, is 100% grant funded. We got a $46 million grant from the state for this. And it essentially will triple the capacity and it will modernize the equipment that we have there. There are some folks who are on septic, and I don't know if you've ever dealt with a septic hauler recently, but there's a big issue on finding places for septic haulers to go. This will also help resolve the problem. So even if you're not tied into our sewer system, this is a much needed improvement. And so the interesting thing about it is this area on top, that's the current plant. This area in the middle with all the colors is the new plant. And what we're doing is we're taking what's produced by the wastewater treatment plant, the effluent or reuse, right, is at such a high quality that we actually pump it out to a lot of neighborhoods and they use it for irrigation purposes, right? The remainder of it would then be discharged into where we will be discharging, which is the Ogeechee River. But the beauty of our system, which is unlike any system in southeast Georgia, is that we have a customer that will take all of our reuse, and that's Oglethorpe Power. That's the power plant. So while we have an ability to discharge into the Ogeechee, we don't have to, because we will either be sending it to the irrigation to the neighborhoods, for those neighborhoods that are tied into the reuse system, or it'll be going to Oglethorpe Power. So 100% of the effluent will be consumed in one way or the other and not be discharged into the river system. Yes, ma'am.
Question about the direction of this now. Where is the gas pipeline in relation to this now?
Where's the what?
The gas pipeline.
Oh, it is. Can you see it right there? And so up here, if this were to continue up, is where low ground road is. So I know water and sewer are not exciting, sexy projects to talk about, but we were very lucky. We actually got them funded by the state, so we'll be able to upgrade our systems. And so I promised I would spend a lot of time on it, and I didn't. Any other questions on water and sewer? Yes, ma'am. No, this area right here is all dry. It does get a little wetlands in where these woods are. That's where our current spray fields are. And once we start pumping water to Oglethorpe, we want to be using those spray fields as well. So we're only building it on uplands. We're not affecting any wetlands. Where those trees are. That's where they are. That's where our current spray fields are. And we'll probably deactivating them or just use them in case of emergency. Every once in a while, the plant will close down to do retooling and upgrading. So in those cases, we might reactivate it just for those cases.
Are you talking about the spray fields that are in Staffordshire?
Yeah. So, and we will also allow us to discontinue those as well. Once we tie into Oglethorpe, which we are working actively to do, we can shut down all of our spray fields. And it does, over time, it's a lot of water that gets sprayed. So that'll be shut down.
My backyard is one
Next.
What's the time frame for the water pipeline, phase 1 and phase 2?
So, yeah, they have us on an accelerated time frame. So by 2028, they want that phase 1 done. And so they want Hyundai, and it won't get their full amount of water, because Savannah doesn't have that much water available to play with, but it'll maybe reduce what they take from the aquifer by about 2 million gallons a day. And then by 2029, the whole system will be operational, where we will, where they, under the current permit, they will have to shut down those wells. They won't be able to use those wells to provide water to the plant. They'll have to purchase it from us. So the commissioner did want me to go over growth a little bit. Now, a lot of growth is happening in a lot of, not as much growth happens in District 4, right? District 2 and District 1, closer to Savannah, they get a lot more growth than we do up here. But we do have some growth up here. Most notably is Staffordshire. Obviously, you got about 155 homes that could be built there. Timberlake and Shadowbrook, and there's some small neighborhood on Little McCall called the Cottages, which is only like 8 homes. But yes, ma'am.
So with the extra 155 on top of what we have, will there be a second entrance and exit?
No.
The neighborhood?
No, not a Staffordshire. And part of the reason is because we just recently changed that rule in this particular neighborhood, since this is an existing phase on it, did not have to meet that requirement. So now any new development that comes in, if it's 120 homes or more, would have to have a separate entrance. But this is kind of grandfathered in there.
What about the roads and stuff? Are they going to be redone?
Yes, I'm going to get to that. And just really quick, this is the last slide on the road. I'll just say, you see a lot in the newspaper about 5,500 homes are approved. Well, that is for the entire area of the unincorporated area of the county. That will not be built in 1 year or 5 years. It'll probably take 10 years or more to ever come to that number. What I like to tell people is, and I know it's hard to believe from what you hear, but Effingham County has made a conscious choice to grow slower than any of the counties around us. And it's not even close, right? Bryan County is probably north of 30,000 approved homes. Chatham County is more than that. Even Bullitt County has at least double the amount of homes that we have approved. So growth happens, I get it, but we've been trying to curtail that. We are currently under a growth moratorium right now while we retool our ordinances. I get it that the roads have to get caught up, and we are working on that. I'm just about to get to that. But I just wanted to allow you to put that number in perspective. I think the city of Hardyville, which is right across the river from us, has approved 42,000 homes, if you can believe that. They only have 4,000 homes right now. So we're trying as best we can to tap the brakes, but still respect people's property rights. So, yes.
The second roller, Effingham County, ordinance 4,500 lots and 25 subdivisions. Explain that to us.
Yeah, that's just to say how many of what's that? Oh, no. That's part of the 5,400 homes, is that 4,500, right? 1,000 of them are in the Springfield water and sewer area. We're just kind of letting you know kind of where they're generally located. So it's still 5,400 homes, just only 4,500 will be customers of Effingham County Water Department. Next one. Roads. All right, the next ones are going to be more fun. So Blue Jay Road, I'm not going to expect you to explain it to you. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 projects that are making up all the improvements that we are doing at Blue Jay Road. You're starting to see one of them right now, which is the first one up there, which is phase 1. And let me show you a picture of Blue Jay, and you'll better understand it. This red dot up top here, that is where the current 3-way stop is at McCall and Blue Jay. And this yellow dot at the bottom here, that's the intersection of Sand Hill and Blue Jay. Now, before I start, I'll tell you that as you go east of that, that's the city of Rincon. We are working with Rincon, and I believe we've already awarded the contract to resurface from where our road ends all the way to 21. So that'll be resurfaced. It'll be in better condition. But let me explain what we're doing. So this green line that you see there, right, which makes up most of the road, right, that's what you're seeing is getting resurfaced right now. But it's not just getting resurfaced. It is getting a much thicker surface. You can probably see that we seem to be paving it over and over and over again. And that's because we have to get the asphalt to a certain thickness so that it can withstand the weights of freight and heavy volumes of vehicles. So we're doing this so that the road's going to last a lot longer. Then the second thing that we're doing on the road is we're widening it. Right now, you've got about between 10 and 11 foot lanes on that road with not that much of a shoulder. There's no paved shoulder at all, just a little bit of an earthen shoulder. And so what phase 1 will do, it'll widen each travel lane to 12 feet and then add a 2-foot paved shoulder to the road. And it'll make it that thicker pavement so it'll last longer. So that's what you're seeing right now. That goes all the way up to where Effingham Parkway ties in. Yes, sir?
Where they're making that thicker, are they going to make that transition into the neighborhoods where it's smoother?
Yes.
Or the speed bump pulled out?
Yeah, they have not, I mean, the layers and layers of asphalt that they put in, so before we accept the road from the construction company, we're going to have to make the transitions as smooth as possible. Yes, sir?
Also, in front of our neighborhood, if they make that a double line, because it's not, and when you pull out, people are passing, and you have to pull on the grass, so you don't get a pass.
Let me get you with Jonathan on that, and then he can take care of that issue. Because we can take care of it this Friday. But he'll take care of that. Yes?
The 2-foot paved shoulder, the foot you're putting on each side, or you gonna come back and maybe 2 more feet on each side?
Ask the question again, what was it?
But the 2-foot shoulders, that's part of phase 1, right? 12-foot lanes, 2-foot shoulders.
On each side, you add
That's right,
2 feet,
yeah.
or is it gonna be 2 additional feet now after they widen the road?
No, so you're going to have 12-foot lanes with 2-foot paved shoulders, and they've already widened with the shoulders, they've already added 2-foot
So it's the width that's gonna be now.
Yeah, so the width of the pavement is going to be 24, it's going to be 28 feet. The width of the
They
pavement is
don't come
going to
back and widen the shoulder, dirt shoulder, because they drop way off.
be 28. Yes, so we're going to get to that, that's in phase 2. But we wanted to get the improvements done, resurfacing because it was in such bad shape.
The reason I ask that is the drop-off now is about like this.
Yes.
And I've had 8 or 10 cars come out in my yard because they run off the road and they jerk it back home and they lose control.
Correct. And so while the 2-foot shoulder will help that situation, what's going to really help is which is phase 3 of the road, which I'm skipping phase 2 for now, which is it 6-foot shoulders?
Yeah, so there'll be additional 6 feet of earthen shoulders that are brought in at a later time, but to answer your question about the drop-off of the pavement, they are going to be bringing up the earthen shoulders to be at grade with the pavement. But it's just
Eventually,
Yep.
eventually it'll be 2 feet and then then 6 feet of earthen shoulders, which is much smoother swale for drainage. So that's what phase 3 is, so I can skip that. Yes, ma'am?
So I had emailed back in February, 23, now I'm emailing about Forest City and Blue Jay also going to the double solid line. Because we pull out, there's a little.
What in Blue Jay?
Blue Jay and Forest City.
Okay.
Pull out there in the morning, tonight, multiple mornings, been pushed off the road, that are passing after Cotton Day. And, yeah, it's like, we're gonna get on there.
And so I can tell you, I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but on Horse Pen, one of the improvements that we're going to have, and it's going to be part of phase 3, maybe phase 3, but we're getting it done as quick as we can, does include a separate left turn lane to go into Horse Pen, which will make it a little bit safer on both coming in and coming out. I can tell you, boy, was that your question as well? No, sir.
The road you put this asphalt.
Yeah.
I've lived here all my life, and I know, like some of these roads, the engineer needs to know, like McCall, where it's tearing up, and where from Blue Jay to the school. That road was played, resurfaced 3 times. The foundation was not built properly. Are they grinding? Are they going to grind these roads up and prepare the foundation before they put all this asphalt?
Before we did any of these roads, we did core samples on the entire stretches, not just in one spot or or 2. Down the entire road, we did a core sample to make sure that what we're building on will hold up for what we want to do. And to bring your point up, one of the areas we discovered is on McCall, north of Rahn. That is just like 1.5 inches of asphalt on top of packed clay. There is no base to that road. And so we caught that doing the core sample on it. And so what we're doing in that case is we were ripping the whole thing up, putting a base down, and then putting it around it up. And then in some cases, like I'll give you an example on McCall too, where Dasher Creek and Schweighofer Creek come across, right? You can kind of see it kind of ripples there. And it's because of the culverts under the road and the base is failing. So in those cases, we'll do some spot. We'll rip up in spots to improve it, but we won't do the whole road if the core sample tells us that a good chunk of it's in great shape.
Another question, I got you. Have they come up with an answer where McCall comes up to Blue Jay by Kessler's house there at the railroad? I've had a suggestion for years, and I think it'll work, but nobody will listen.
I'll get to that in a second. That's a complicated project, and it's one that we know we have to take care of, but we're kind of working on that.
I'll throw this at you, and y'all probably ain't gonna like it. But if you take where y'all cut homes from McCall off and came up to Blue Jay, if you would build an overpass up and over the railroad track and come right back down in the McCall.
You're way ahead of me. So let me get to that. It's a few slides in. What?
I suggested that years ago, nobody would do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Is it possible though, while they're doing construction on Blue Jay, to do a double line, like in her neighborhood and by that Forest City, because that's possible?
Jonathan?
Yeah, so right now there's temporary striping out until the final surface gets put down. The striping that is going to be going back, it should reflect what was there previously. So if you had a double stripe line.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay,
saying.
well what I'll do is I'll give you my contact information. I'm more than happy to look at it and make sure we get it what we want.
Yeah,
So let me just give you a few of the rest of the plan for Blue Jay. This red area here, so let's say we start at the red dot. That is a 3-way stop. That is going to be converted to a roundabout, right? So if you're coming from Springfield, right, it's going to be a single lane roundabout, but you're going to come out of it at a double lane roundabout, because there's going to be 4 lanes in between Effingham Parkway and where that new roundabout's going. And the reason we did a traffic study on it, there is so much traffic converging at that location with both McCall North, McCall South, Blandford, Effingham Parkway, and the new Creekside Elementary School, that is just going to be a choke point. So that section, the red section between Effingham Parkway roundabout and the new roundabout at Blue Jay McCall will be a 4-lane, and it will be a divided highway. So it will be kind of limited access in and out, so you won't have people, jolting out across 4 lanes of traffic to make a left-hand turn. And since you have roundabouts there, it's going to be easy for folks to turn around. And then let me go through the roundabout Olympics here. At the end of Blue Jay and Sand Hill, there will be a roundabout. There's obviously one at 17. We are currently under design, and that should go under contract sometime this year to build at Midland. Already awarded and not under construction yet, but it's been awarded and it should start breaking ground soon, is Hodgeville and Blue Jay. And of course, as part of Effingham Parkway, there will be a roundabout at where Effingham Parkway ties into Blue Jay. So a lot happening on Blue Jay Road, and it's all will be happening, should be starting at some point this year. The last thing to get done on it will probably be the roundabout at Sand Hill, where that will probably go into construction this year. Everything else should be completed within 2 years. But these roundabouts cost a lot, and they take some time to build. Next slide. Other stuff that's going on, and I'm going to give you an update on Effingham Parkway. We are contributing to Effingham Parkway, we're not building it, that's GDOT. And we've been waiting for them to formally announce the change in the dates on it. And they finally did that last week. So we were supposed to get it done by the end of this year. Phase 1 of Effingham Parkway, which will take you from Highway 30 all the way to a crossroad that is right by where Blandford Elementary School. There'll be a road that goes all the way to Hodgeville there, and a roundabout that ties into Effingham Parkway. That's phase 1. That'll open April of next year. Phase 2, which will be July of next year, will be from that intersection to Blue Jay. That is going to be relief, but I would say the big problem is you still get congestion on Benton Boulevard, but I can say they have funded the widening, the 4-laning of Benton Boulevard, so that'll take you all the way to Middle. All right, so you would ask about McCall Road. So we're doing McCall Road in 2 pieces. The first, or the second, let's do, is that section Rahn North, because the base of that road is so bad. Right, so we had to do a separate, different technique for doing that road than the other sections. That has been awarded. So has the other phase, which will take you all the way from CSX Railway, right before the CSX Rail in Lincoln, all the way to Blandford, and from the 3-way stop all the way to Rahn. And so, and that is not just a resurfacing, that is also a widening, so we'll do the 12-foot lanes and the 2-foot shoulders on that, so it'll be much safer. And yes, we will be getting rid of the rumble strips, right? So believe me, those are a headache, and when GDOT offered to do that for us and pay for it, I know next time, say no. Okay. So, next up. Oh, wait. That is a county road. It will remain a county road from after Effingham Parkway opens up, from Blue Jay all the way to 21 in Springfield. It will be a truck route, but we are building it to handle that traffic. Wider lanes, thicker pavement, way we can get the trucks off of Rahn Station and Ralph Rahn Road. In addition, we're doing some intersection improvements. I'll go over Courthouse Road and the signal at McCall. But Rahn Station, this is just under design right now. And the goal is to have Rahn Station and Little McCall meet up at an intersection. And so it requires the realignment of where Ralph Rahn comes into meets Little McCall, and then just simply put a roundabout there. Because I don't know if you ever tried to come out and make a left turn out of Little McCall onto McCall, it's a nightmare. This will be a lot safer. So, yes, ma'am.
So, I don't remember what you decided is Rahn Station Road will be a truck route.
And it hasn't been decided yet. We are building it to handle heavier weight, just simply because no matter what, it's going to get more traffic. The last time the update of the truck routes came on, that was not included. The commissioner only removed that from the list because the road is a year off from getting any sort of improvements, so it would have been too dangerous.
So, will they straighten out the road? I mean, because it can be a pretty dangerous road with curves that's got it coming off, like where I live, my dirt road, Rahn Station is in the middle of the curve.
It is way too narrow for trucks to drive on that road. And that's the biggest, and that's, you see them come across the turn going, full speed, those dump trucks, they cross the line. Those lanes are only, if you're lucky, they're 10 feet wide. It's just too dangerous to put trucks on it right now. Maybe if they do, when the upgrades come in, they can talk about it, but right now, it's too early to allow that to happen. And like I said, the goal is with the change in the ordinance is to say, I don't care where you're coming from, you got to go to 21 to get to 21. You got to go McCall to 21, not Rahn Station, or Ralph Rahn to 21. Yes, ma'am.
Is low ground going to have that same pavement that can handle it?
Yes. Well, no, they're not going to. Low ground is going to have because what we have to do to the road, we have to do a 10-inch stabilized cement base to that road. It's going to be able to handle higher weights, but the pavement's probably going to be a standard pavement that we do for what we call a collector road, which is probably about 3 inches versus, what's the pavement thickness of Blue Jay?
Blue Jay, when we're done with it, is going to be, I believe it's 6.5 inches.
Yeah, so that's a much heavier weight, but we're not going to allow trucks on it. So, it's not going to be built to get. We're going to try and solve the problem, but it's going to be built for vehicular traffic.
What about the drainage on low ground? Because that's why it's called low ground.
Yeah, I know.
There's no creek for it to run to.
Right, and so as part of the resurfacing, since we're getting that additional right-of-way, we're going to redo all of the swells and all of the ditches so it gets to the proper outfall. Right now, they're really more for detaining the water rather than causing it to flow. But the stormwater design is a part of the full stormwater design is part of the plan for the road.
We need somebody that knows how to, when they're digging our ditches out, that knows how to look at property and how it's sloped, because they digging out front sewer pipes, and then when it rains, just like a little pond in some of them.
That's right, and that's the point I think. It doesn't flow, it detains, and that's not what a stormwater system should do.
They dug it out, and now the water just lays there instead of going along like it.
Right, so even on Blue Jay, they're doing in phase 3 of Blue Jay, that includes a full redesign of the drainage system for the road. Because there is places for the water to go, right? There are outfalls. It's just not designed to get there. So we're going to fix it. All right, so next up. And this is, I know you keep hearing this, but by July, that's when the contract expires, you'll have a new traffic light at McCall in 21. We were slightly delayed because we were waiting for new power poles to come in for Georgia Power, but those are in and on the ground, and they should be going vertical fairly soon. But that's just phase 1 of that project. Phase 2 of that project is the realignment of Courthouse, and right now it's dangerously close to that intersection, and so you can't get out, because even if you put a red light there, the cars are going to queue past the intersection, so the folks won't be able to get out. So we go a quarter of a mile down the road, and what we will do is do a roundabout, so you will come up Courthouse, right about where the entrance of Baker Park is. That'll be kind of a right turn only almost, so you won't really have to stop. It'll just be yield to a dedicated road, to a roundabout that'll get you out to the road. So it should be a big improvement, and then there'll just be a dead end at about where the boat launch is for Baker Pond there. And so we're in the process of getting the right-of-way on that. We've got some issues with some of the septic systems in the mobile home park, but we're working through it. And hopefully, what's the time frame on this, John?
We're working through right away right now, and we're wanting to get this out to bid, shortly after maybe fall time.
Okay, so fall or winter, we should have this out for bid. Next one. All right, so this is the roads that are getting resurfaced. Some of these, we just try to do everything around this district, not just limited to District 4. But, I'll just read them just for the fun of it. The entire Hunters Chase neighborhood, Cypress Point Road, Linton Lane, Guyton, Benjamin Callanan Road, Ansel Lane, Forest Hills subdivision, Greystone subdivision, Rahn Station Road, Blanford Road, and then West 9th we are doing in partnership with Rinkin. And then Yelly Road and Chimney Road, that's in District 5, more towards Rinkin. The next roads these are actually roads that we're just wrapping up, they're kind of getting done. The Courthouse Road, as you obviously see, Shadowbrook, there's been several roads in there that got fixed. The only one remaining is Standard Lane, which should be done shortly. And then here are the ones that are left, right? So is Aqueduct Drive and Saratoga Drive. So those are the roads that got beat up because of the flooding in Staffordshire. So we want to fix the flooding first problem before we go in there and resurface all those roads.
I got a question.
Yes.
So are you just going to resurface, or is it that gentleman's point, or are you going to tear up the road?
Well, we'll do a core sample of the road, and in that particular case, you may look like you got a failed base, but the problem is the water is seeping up through the road. Yes. Right. It's all pocket. So we'll probably have to do a mill resurface on it. We'll just have to mill it all up and then just resurface. But the base is probably okay. It's just all that asphalt is probably going to have to get removed. It's just pure alligator.
The road's only going until drainage.
To the drainage is fixed because it just defeats the purpose. But that's why we're so actively trying to fix the drainage. In phase 1 of the drainage, not phase 2. Once we get
phases of the drainage have to be done.
no, just phase 1. Once we get phase 1, you eliminate the flooding issue, and so we'll be able to go in there and fix the roads. I would venture to say spring of next year, because by the time we get that ditch all the way done, it goes into the next resurfacing season. You can only resurface when it's warm. So I would say spring of next year is probably a reasonable time on that. Yes, sir.
Take Anthony Lane off the list. Don't pay the police. The people speak through there now. So please don't pay that.
And you may think he's joking, but I will tell you that is the #1 complaint that we get when we resurface a road is nearly immediately we get the phone calls of saying, when are you going to do stuff? When are you going to do to fix the speeding on the road? so we will,
It's just a short stretch.
yeah, I know it's just a short stretch, but I remember, I have emails from some of your neighbors who requested it to be resurfaced, which is why it was on the T-SPOS list. What's that? Yeah. And then Truman Trail, which I'll still will climb, so they're going to make that is not going to be a truck route, but trucks go on it, right? So if you live on that road, so we're going to beef it up, make it a little bit wider lanes, just because we know that's a bypass between the bridge at 119 in South Carolina and Old Augusta. So we're going to be beefing up and widening that road as well. That's a very long road. Okay, so if you live on a road that not every road that is a chip seal or ash road is getting resurfaced, or at least not for now, right? So what we do on those roads, similar to what we're doing on a low ground right now, is we will re-chip seal them like every 5 years or so, just to keep them, to keep it so that their ability to travel on. And so we will continue to maintain, these are the list of roads that we have on that are next up to get those repairs. But our hope is that over time, we resurface all of these, right? And if we keep adding chip seal to it, we build up the base of the road so that when it does need to get asphalted, it's got a much stronger base on it. So it's not a waste of money to keep chip sealing these things. All right, next up. GDOT projects, I'll go over these really quick. Highway 21, yes, it's getting widened. Yes, it's an enormous project. And yes, it's going to cost a lot of money. And it's going to take a very good amount of time. So they want to widen 21 all the way from Highway 30 to 9th Street in Rankin. And so right now, they put $13 million aside to do the design. That'll fully pay for the design, and it'll probably cover most of the right-of-way that's required to purchase on that. But it's going to be time-consuming because of the complexities of that road. And so the next up that GDOT is doing is some bridge replacements. Both of these are in District 4. The first one is coming out of Springfield on Stillwell Road over the Ebenezer Creek. They're expecting that construction to begin in 2027. And then Long Bridge Road over Ebenezer Creek in 2028. Both of those projects are on the federal bridge replacement. So they're being, most of those projects are being handled by GDOT. All right. I don't know if you all can see this, but this is in response to the flyover question that we had, and I don't remember who asked it. So what we are working with our friends in the city of Rankin is so that if you can see my little pointer, that is 21. And if you can see this little red line down here, right when you go over the railroad tracks on 21, which is the power line easement, the goal is to have a traffic light just past there so that we can have a direct route that will take you all the way over to McCall. And because McCall is you can't put a at-grade crossing there because they have a stacking lane. The railroad does, and they store trains there. So it's going to require an overpass that then goes over, and if you know where the entrance to Oglethorpe Power is, just think that's where it's going to tie in. And so the idea is to have a roundabout at that location so that if there's truck traffic that needs to get to Effingham Parkway, you can get those trucks off of 21. And if you want to get to Effingham Parkway or get over, let's say you're going to have a massive migration of folks who are going to start working at the Hyundai plant versus Gulfstream, and they have to get west, right? And so this this will be a good east-west corridor to get you over there, then get you on a Blue Jay, which then can get you all the way to 80. So we're working with the city of Rincon on this. We've got the plans, we've all agreed on the plans, and we've even put some money aside to start to do the design of the bridge, which we anticipate on letting sometime this year. But Rincon's got the right-of-way here. They've also put money aside in T-SPLOST to build that as well. To your question about the Kessler House, that doesn't solve the issue because folks are still going to go up, even if their vehicles, not trucks, they're still going to go up McCall north to Blandford, and school buses still do that. And making that left, you all know, and Yancy will back me up on this, well, the school buses make a left coming out of there. By law, they have to stop at the railroad tracks. And so they're basically stopping at the railroad tracks at an angle, which is very dangerous. And so we are discussing it with the property owners. Nobody likes taking anybody's property, but we want to try and do it so it doesn't disturb them as much as possible. But it's to realign it to go on the other side of the Kessler House, farther away from the tracks. Essentially, maybe if traffic warrants there, they can put a roundabout there as well, so folks can easily get in and out, and then close the entrance where it is right now. That one's a little bit farther off. Our hope is that by opening this bridge up over here in Effingham Parkway, that we will ease some traffic on McCall, and we might not need it, but I think realistically at some point we're going to have to do it.
You don't think the other paths would work better there?
No. Well, here's the problem with that, is that we have to get the necessary approach slopes, and we have to get it between the two roads, and we tried to get it closer to the current intersection down there, and we couldn't make it work. And so we had to move it up north so that we had enough distance so that it could get between the 2 points. We did look at it closer to down there and closing that at-grade crossing down there, but it just became extremely expensive. All right, next up. Facilities, I'll be really quick on this, but it's good news for you. So first up, you saw the new administration building, which really is a new administration building, it's an old bank. We're using it, we're combining our services to make everything come in one location, right? So right now, most of the services you would need from the county, business license, permit, to speak with me, to go to a commissioner's meeting, is done in this building. But then you got to go to the historic courthouse if you want to pay your taxes or get your tabs or what have you. We're moving that over here, and so that's the new. If it looks familiar, that's because that is the old tellers when the bank was there. That is the new tax commissioner office. And what you don't see in this picture is there'll also be a drive-through window. So in the back of the bank, so you can take care of that. And we're trying to work with the tax commissioner so that he'll get him to agree to take water bill payments as well at the drive-through. But he's just got to get set up on this first. So this moves both the tax commissioner and tax assessor into one building, and all administrative services are a one-stop shop. So that's the first one. The next is the Clarence Morgan. We just finished this project. And so what we did was it was built to add 2 wings to it. We added the 2 wings. If you're facing the front of the building, to the right side is where this is the back of the building. Go back. So the playground is kind of right out here. And so we did 2 community rooms or multi-purpose rooms that you can rent out for birthday parties. Plus, that's one of the community rooms. You can see the playground out there. And then that outside patio area, can be rented out for parties. And so we constantly get questions on that. Where can outside area, right by where the playground is. And then on the other side of the building is the new Emergency Operations Center. The reason we put it here is we can build it to that heavy storm standard that's required in Emergency Operations Center. And then because the facility has a commercial kitchen already, it has showers and all of that in it, we can close this down in the event of a storm, and we have a lot of facilities there. Our current Emergency Operations Center was about a quarter the size, and we just couldn't fit the people that we needed in the room. So this is big enough to provide all the growth that we need. When you have a named storm, they can activate here. It's got all the facilities that they need. Kitchen, lockers, communications equipment, areas to do press releases and so on and so forth. It's even got a dispatch center in there if anything were to happen to our dispatch center on Courthouse Road. So we're really excited about that. We expect to have a grand opening for that in about a month. It's absolutely beautiful inside. Next up, this one I'm super excited about. And you'll see this in the next one too, which is the animal shelter. The county does need more space, but it's extremely expensive to build in. The last quote we got is about $550 to $600 a square foot, and I'm not talking about it. And so the county at some point gained ownership of the old Central High School. And so what we're doing here, we were able to do it at a fraction of the cost per square foot, is we need a new area to put our elections office in. And so let me show you stuff first. I'll show you the elections office, but over here, we're going to have our facilities and maintenance, which is operating out of a basement right now. And the county needs a condition space for all of our records and retention requirements that the state has. And so that's what these two wings are. The next one, that's the backside of the elections office. That's where you go to register. That's where you will go to when they do the vote counting. But when they do the elections, they're going to, another building is going to be the early elections building. And so elections nowadays, like I think it was something like 45% of the votes occurred prior to election day. And most of those were not mail-ins, they were on-site absentee voting, which is just called early voting now. And so because you've got these covered passageways, you can have 200 people there queue up, and you'll be protected from the weather outside before you go and vote. Plus, if you've ever tried to deal with early voting in Effingham County, you know how bad the parking is and how people have to park on 119 and climb up a hill. We'll have plenty of parking here. You'll have covered access to bathrooms, and it'll just be a much better environment. The old cafeteria building is going to be another event space for much larger events, right? So that's if you've got a family reunion or something to that effect. It was an old cafeteria, so it already had a commercial kitchen in it. We just renovated it, and the cafeteria is just an event space that we renovated, so it actually looks beautiful. And because it's got a field in the background, you actually can do part of it outdoors if you want. So it's actually, if you drive by this building right now, there's no way you can imagine that it's going to look as good as it's going to look. But it is, it's going to look special, and it's got a wonderful history to it. And so we've been working with the Alumni Association on it. And one of the things that they want to do is put a classroom inside for them. It was the equalization high school when they funded all the segregated schools for Effingham County, and a lot of those alumni really, owe their success to this building and to the teachers there, and so they really want to preserve that. And so we're actually working with them to utilize the school to set up a prototype 1950s classroom to do field trips there. So anyway, that is under construction now. It should take about a year to complete. And context, the county does not want to waste a lot of money on a new building when we can use our old building, and we said, come up with something that can utilize this space and really showcase, the county and the services that our animal control folks offer, and this is what they came up with. So that is the building that you just saw with just a little kind of wing right here, and that's the kennel expansion in the back. And so this, we just went out to full design on it, and so hopefully we can get design wrapped up and get this under contract within a year to get it renovated. Just the space when you come in from 119, we'll have fully paved parking here, and so it'll not just be a beautiful building, but you'll have landscaped and paved parking. It'll be a lot more organized than you see right now. And this is the inside of it. And so one thing I'll point out here is that if you've ever been to our animal shelter, you know, because the animals are actually in the same building as the offices, and it's loud and it doesn't smell very good. And so we've removed that, so the kennels are all outside. They do keep cats in there, for whatever reason, but, I'm sorry, that's my cat jokes. But they do keep the cat area in there, but of course they're a lot easier to keep clean. And we'll have areas where you can come in to, visit the animal, get to know the animal, a little field to get to know the animal. It'll just be wonderful. A lot better than what we have right now. And this is paid for by SWATs. Next up, parks. This is the fun part, and this is where I wrap up. Right? So Baker Park, under construction right now. And so we dug up the entire trail. Matter of fact, the guy who's doing the construction is right there. If you have any questions, Clay Morgan. But we dug up the entire trail around the perimeter. We're redoing the entire thing. We're putting a gazebo right at the little island right here. We are expanding the trail. We're adding a dog park to the back here. New playground equipment, renovated bathrooms, and 4 pickleball courts. And a little dock as well that you can fish off of, as well as launcher paddle boards from there. We'll still have the larger boat launch over here in the corner, but it'll be a huge upgrade, and I can't wait for this one to open up. And so the goal is with all of our parks is to build them to the same standard. So if you go to Clarence Morgan Park, you see a big, beautiful park, modern amenities. And so we want to make every park meet that standard, so we're renovating all of our parks. This is Clarence Morgan Park right now. The shaded area is what's currently built. We are currently, this is the gymnasium right there, you can see where I'm. So we are not going to be able to build all of this in phase 2, right? But we wanted to master plan it, and we're going to figure out how much, based on the budget we have with SPLOST, and how much we can get done. The most important thing that we need right now, on an active recreation standpoint, is what's called multi-purpose fields, which are your soccer, football, lacrosse fields. And so we're going to have two of them will probably be artificial turf. The remainder will be regular natural turf. And then we should be able to do a dog park on the Ralph Rahn end of the road. The road will connect all the way from 21 to Ralph Rahn. Extended parking. And this is where the gym is. And this is where we want folks to enter from the back in order to get to those new multi-purpose rooms. And the playground is right here, and over here we're going to try and do a splash pad. So, and however many baseball fields we can afford, we'll do, but those will be kind of after the multi-purpose fields. Plus there will be a perimeter trail around the park as well. It'll be a pretty substantial perimeter trail. That's Clarence Morgan. This one is just a minor upgrades. This is where we call the annex where the library is. do want to plan for the future to do an all-accessible playground there. And we're kind of working with a company to kind of master plan the whole front because the Department of Health is looking to replace their building and we want to plan for that. Next up, playgrounds. Every single playground is effectively getting replaced. Tomorrow we will be having the grand opening or ribbon cutting of the playground at Sandhill. But every park is going to have a really state-of-the-art playground facility with shade. And so you'll see some of the playgrounds that we have right now. McCall is the most recent. Sandhill is the next one up, and then Milford. So we're excited about that. Come out tomorrow. It'll be free cone of ice. And Truman Trail is a bike trail that will connect. And partially paid for by T-Slots funds. We're going to try and get the grant for the rest. So technically we're working with Georgia Power to gain access to the Georgia Central Rail Line, which is, basically, for the most part, runs parallel to 17. But it is, we hope to make a connection from where that caboose is in Guyton, which is part of that, all the way to phase 1 will be all the way to Sandhill Park, and it'll pass by Pinora Park, and eventually we're about to go into contract to build a big 250-acre lake park, which is on the corner of Sandhill and 80. It'll eventually connect to that, but it'll be a 10-foot paved separated bike trail, and it'll actually, we're calling it a Truman Trail, but it'll be eventually part of what's called the Georgia High-Low Trail, which there's an activist out there right now. She actually lives in Effingham County that are putting together all the pieces with all the counties to connect all the way to Athens. So that's exciting. Last it's all part of the bicycle and pedestrian plan that we have for the county. So when we build a road, it is part of the pedestrian plan. We make sure we're getting enough right of way to eventually add separated bike trail. So we contracted out with the firm to come up with where those networks are going to be, and we come up with a plan that you can get this online. It's on our homepage. And now, Engage Effingham is the app I told you about. It's really easy to run. You can find it on your Google Play or Apple App Store. Or you can, if you don't want to download the app and you still want to submit, you can just if you go to our homepage, Effingham Engage has a banner on our homepage. You click on that and you can actually submit your request on the web page versus using the app. But I can't tell you how important this is because I can't tell you how many times I find out that there's a problem it blowing up on Facebook and no one has called the county, right? And so we want to make it as easy as possible to call us on this. We're eventually going to get the 311 number tied into this, so you can just dial 311 if you're not into apps. But we are in the process of phase 1, which is launching the app. It's already out there. Start submitting the smallest thing. We joke around, but whether it's litter, pothole, a dead animal on the side of the road, whatever it is, let us know about it. Because if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. And if you're willing to put your name, because you can sign up for this and put your contact information on it, attach your name to it, we will give you updates as to the status of the ticket. Right? If you don't put your name, you don't know who to send it to. So you can do it anonymously, but we really want to be able to report back to you the status on these tickets. So please, when you submit, if you can submit with your name, that would be great. And I will talk to this young lady over here to find out what the issue that didn't quite get fixed afterwards. Whew. Closing remarks, I'm not going to bore you because I'm running out of time. But there's stuff that I missed in this presentation, and I've got staff here that we can be able to answer some questions for y'all that wasn't addressed in this presentation. So if that's the case, if it's a particular issue with your neighborhood, I do have staff here that work from the engineer to code enforcement, sanitation, water, sewer, planning, projects. So if you don't want to ask the question in front of everybody, that's fine. But if you've got a question, yes, sir.
You said that you're slowing down the subdivision. What about all the warehouses that are
Well, the warehouses, I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine that we put in our master plan kind of the limitations to where industrial can go. And there's just not, there's enough industrial property out there. We just don't imagine that we need much more. And so, and we try to strategically, we didn't have a plan control, right? The idea was technically does not have to abide by zoning, but they agreed to. They chose some of these locations for us, but some of them are in places they try to put strategically, like close to close to the border of the port, like you do right when you come off of Port Wentworth, or close to the I-16, the only interchange we have on the road. And some of them are based on rail, like that one they put in the center of the county. There's two rail ones going in there. But we're pretty much very close to maxed out on on kind of industrial property in the county. And they'll keep asking, but I know the board looks at any industrial request right now, with a microscope. But they do have ample property to build. So, yes, ma'am. Well, I'll tell you how that master plan was supposed to work. There is an industrial area on the other side of them, and so they made that a transitional area so that it could go industrial, but the concept was it would connect to the other side and not to Rahn Station Road. Because when push comes to shove, they looked at it and said, there's some development coming, right? And so if you, with water and sewer available, did you want 400 houses there, or if the trucks didn't come out to Rahn Station, they went into the industrial park that's already there, maybe it's the lesser of two evils. That's why they put it there, but that's not what they're proposing. They're proposing coming out on Rahn Station. What's that? We don't, well, that's the whole thing. We don't do, the county doesn't do any of that, right? That's the private sector that comes in, and the private sector doesn't want to do mini farms. No, we don't. The county does not develop property.
No, I'm saying the county can develop based on the zoning and the ordinance and the barriers to the
You can turn down the warehouse.
Yeah, they can, well, you can turn down industrial zoning. If the industrial zoning already exists, generally it's very difficult to turn down a use in industrial zoning.
Is this already rated industrial?
No, it is not. And that's why when you come to meetings, no, not a variance, it's a rezoning. It takes a rezoning. No, I think, and the chairman can back me up on this. They've been very, very particular about about where industrial goes, and so it's not a case of a rubber stamp at all. What's that? We didn't choose that. Right? That was chosen for us by the IDA. Yes.
And we have an overrun wildlife. We do a wildlife survey. Overrun hawks, owls, deer.
That's because they have no place to go.
They have no place to go. My farm.
That's because, I'd like to say, please, I appreciate the pedestrian and trail, that's great. But I would like to say, what are you talking
tell you that one of the things that we're concentrating, we have a steering committee to redo the zoning right now in the county. For one thing, what's coming up next week, right, is we are, when it comes to agricultural zoning, one of the things that has never been a problem in the past, but is now a problem, is that people in the agricultural area of the county, north of 119, are rezoning properties there to 1 acre lots, right? To subdivide and to sell, right? So we're addressing that, raising that increase, or increasing the size of the lots there. We're adding open space requirements where there were none before. There were never open space requirements for business or industrial. Now there will be. And then I can tell you, open space is space that cannot be included as a buffer, right? It's above and beyond what is the requirements that you cannot build on 100% of your property, right? No. It has to be. It has to be. Cannot be paved. Cannot be impervious surface. It has to be. It can be landscaped. So you can do that, but it has to be something that's viewed as non-commercial use, right? I can also tell you we have not started on the residential yet. One of the struggles, someone says, why not just do 1 acre lots? Well, let me tell you what they do with 1 acre lots, right? They clear cut everything, and they cut everything in every piece of land is part of somebody's property, right? If somebody wants a smaller lot, and in exchange for that smaller lot, we beef up the open space requirements so that your net density is the same. That's one of the things we're working on, right? No, we're not. No, I can honestly tell you. Look, and I know
why is it that we don't need to use some peace laws money to go out and purchase weapons and forests for the future?
I can answer that because it's illegal. You can't use peace loss money, which is set aside for roads, for green space. If the county has to make the decision as what is the number one wish for folks, right?
There is no priority for green space in the county.
If that is what the public wants when the next SPLOST comes up, we will put it on there. But I can tell you what we had to do for the public, the parks are more important, right? This time around, getting all these parks renovated, adding more facilities, adding more fields for kids. That was a priority for us. What's that? It's always a priority. Well, you act as if we're not doing anything and we're trying to do as much as we can. I appreciate what you're doing, but you don't get it, right? And I'm going to tell you, it's the ability to have a conversation that really, I think, that our board really appreciates, right? It's the ability to communicate. And I will tell you, this steering committee that we did, we asked for volunteers all over the county. We got 3. Brian was one of them. We advertised it all over the place in the newspaper, on Facebook, and everything, right? And what it does is that you understand what the struggles are with the county when it comes to the law and zoning, and trying to meet these disparate needs that each individual has with very limited funds. And we're trying to do the best that we can. We're doing a heck of a lot more than we've ever done in the past to address the concerns that the residents have. And I understand that your priority is green space, right? It's undisturbed green space, not necessarily parks, but undisturbed green space.
Ball fields are not green space.
That's my point, right? Not parks, but green space, right? And so if that is a priority, we will go around prior to the next SPLOST and ask folks, what is your priority? If we've got a fixed amount of money, how do you want it spent, right? And get the feedback from folks, and they can tell us that if I had, $1 million, I would want to spend so much on parks for my kids or swimming pool. I would say that we're probably a year from now. It's probably right about the time when it comes up for vote again. So we will be doing the fall and the winter. Well, it's a struggle that the county has. We do have a communications manager now. Nobody reads the paper, nobody watches local news. So the best thing I can tell you is just go on our Facebook page as much as you can. Because I can guarantee you, Effingham, Georgia is our Facebook page. I can guarantee you we will post on it as a resource. We'll try and put it in the newspaper. We'll try and get it in on the local news. But we can't control that. We can control Facebook pages. Yes, ma'am.
Is there some way about having going to Staffordshire to have development or maybe build for their house until a certain percent, like maybe there's only 5% of that, maybe 20%?
I personally don't think you can if the property is currently zoned for it. I think it would be considered what's called a legislative taking, which is which violates the Constitution. Now, rezonings are a different story. Right? Rezonings are not, that case, you can limit those and you can, but you have to, but even that, there are limitations on why you can deny rezoning. But you can take some of that in consideration in a rezoning, but if the property is properly zoned for it, it's very difficult to stop.
So let me ask you this, if I've got it on the property and I want to rezone, or I approach the county and say, I want to rezone this, you ask them why, warehouse?
Yes.
Well, we don't go there now.
Well, we have to, they have to have due process, right? So the staff can't say no, right? Staff has to accept the application and present it to the planning board and to the board of commissioners, right? And then they will take the board of commissioners, and the chairman has been very good on this, and basically looking at these applications, looking at the effect that they will have on the neighborhoods, and make the determination whether or not it's in the best interest to rezone the property or not. And so that's kind of how the process goes. And during those rezoning hearings, there are 2 opportunities for public hearings where the public can come up and make their comments. Yes. And we are trying to fix that situation where they kept canceling on us. So we're changing the rules to limit how many times someone can cancel and what time they can do it. So that's been, I know, been a thorn in a lot of people's side. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, and they want to get the whole thing done, phase 1 and 2, by 2021. Yeah, they want to stop those wells as quick as they can. Yes, sir.
Has there been any discussion in a while about when us retired people will not have to pay school taxes? Like my parents, 95 and 93 years old, and they still pay school taxes. Our kids are grown, and why do we have to keep paying taxes? School taxes.
Is Nancy here?
He left. He left.
We waited too long to ask that. All right, so I will tell you, and here's the thing you have to understand, right? We keep our taxes very low, right? No. You can laugh about it, but I'm telling you right now that we have the lowest taxes for operations of the county, not the school district, the county, than anywhere in Southeast Georgia. Right, we are about 1/2 of Chatham, we're about 1/3 of Liberty. The only one that's closest and they're equal to us is Bryan County, but they don't have the exemption that we have. Most people who've been in their house for a while are paying tax on 50% of the value of their house. So But I can show you the numbers, they don't lie, right? So the issue is, if the county were to institute that you're not gonna pay this, I can tell you what the school district's gonna say is that then everyone else is gonna have to make up for the side, right? And so because they have a fixed operating budget, and so I wish Nancy was still here, he can explain it, but so if I'm spending $1 million to operate our school system, and the exemption takes away $200,000, I have to then raise taxes by 20% in order to just be where I was the year before. The point being, it's not a zero-sum game. And that's what I always tell folks. And that's why if you ever were to do this, it would be a referendum. It would be a referendum where people would have to accept the fact that in order to give somebody a tax break, somebody's would have to pay more. It's just that.
You got any subdivision, only people are moving here.
To the point is, and that is part of the reason why we, unlike everywhere else in southeast Georgia, every new county has rolled back their taxes in excess of what your property tax has gone up, right? Your property tax can only go up, if it's a primary residence, can only go up by 3%.
That's fine, you run out for the retired.
Yeah, but my point is, so all of this growth, we've been using it to roll back taxes and to reduce taxes. Our taxes have gone, in the last 5 years, have gone down by about 28%, right? Our property tax rate, right? So, well, I can tell you, if you look at what we control, right, which is the county and the node, I can guarantee you that if you're a primary resident, right, if you have your exemption, that what you pay now is less than what you paid 5 years ago. It's on your county or no. Maybe not on your total tax bill, because the school district and the IEA and so on and so forth. But on the part that where the insurance controls, it's gone in. And I can guarantee, right? And the reason has been because, not necessarily residential growth, because residential growth costs money, but most of it was commercial.
That's another thing that could harm. If you got that, you used to drop the taxes on you should allow them to do anything. But now, I went up there 2 or 3 times, people, I know we don't honor that.
But it should affect your value, and you should be able to. I'm not the tax assessor. It's not someone who works for me. It's someone that's appointed separately. But he monitors that, and if you have weapons on your property, your property should be out of use.
I just want to say that it's the town here. Is there a way to have meetings like this more often?
I would love it, and I think the chairman would love it. And I will tell you, whatever it was that got you all out here tonight, we appreciate it, because we've got easily triple the turnout that we did when we did this last year. So it's wonderful.
This is the largest turnout we've had out of all the districts, since I've been elected before, so.
Can't hear you.
I said, this is the largest turnout we've had,
Not all.
I believe, since last year. And really appreciate you guys coming. I do encourage you to come, because when you speak at our meetings, it really doesn't matter.
Well, since let's talk about county commissioners, it's nice to hear things that may not be what I want to hear, but it's nice to hear these things are coming or going on, and maybe I won't talk to that about it.
Well, and, I was just mentioning to some of our staff over here that maybe some education on how taxes work, how it's done. Working with our development services on getting, once we roll our ordinances out, I'm a big digging name guy, a visual guy. So looking at simplified, instead of reading this 50,000 long page word piece here, simplify, what the ordinance is, how it complies, all that. So, but we are working to open that. We are looking at putting in more space for areas. Those are natural, but it is, space that was allocated for impermeable surface before. We're trying to protect, add more buffers so we have less. You're not going to see anybody in the backyard, which is that being so adding more buffers into there. No more credits on any weapon area in any of these neighborhoods anymore. But the new ordinances are coming out. So we're trying to sustain the growth responsibly, but also maintain the activity of the plan. I feel like we were really losing that. That's our plan in the first place. Same with this stuff. So, we can't turn down everything that was before us, but we are putting tighter rules in so that they have to be done.
We had one thing that come up last year, and I was told by the company that y'all paid to repair the roads and stuff. I had a sinkhole in my driveway on my sewer pipe. Well, in the past, that's the county right away. That's because I went to the meeting and that was given to y'all to widen the road and put the sewer pipe in. Well, they told me that y'all had passed a issue that we had to maintain our own driveways and sewer pipes now. So, but prior to that, that was when we had 15 inches of rain and I know they go sinkhole right in the middle. The guys come out, oh, well, the county voted and you had to take care of that yourself. But has that been changed or not? That's what I'm asking.
This is something I've spoken to Tim about.
Yeah, and so I can tell you, some of that, what you were told is correct, some of it's incorrect, right? So when it comes to the culvert pipe, we are responsible for maintaining that because it's part of the drainage system. When it comes to the what if you paved over it in order to that encroachment, from the street to your property, that is your responsibility to maintain. Because some people don't do it, right? They beat it up. It gets eroded over time. So, but the pipe is our responsibility.
I understand that, but say mine's not paid, and so I had a sinkhole in the middle of it. So the guy came out, he said it was my responsibility, because y'all said that this was going to be an individual fixture. So was that correct?
If the sinkhole was caused by damage to the pipe, then it would have been our responsibility to repair it. We would have to repair the pipe and then fix what's on top of it. But if it was just because, let's say, over time, as water goes from your driveway down to the ditch around the pipe, it'll erode. You're responsible for that part. But if it's because the pipe failed, which was caused the sinkhole to suck water in, then we're responsible to fix the pipe and then replace whatever else on top of it.
What happened? That 15 inches of rain, the sewer pipe couldn't handle the water, so it washed down the side of the sewer pipe, and then it created a sinkhole.
So, but if the pipe was failing, and when I say failing, I mean damaged, right? Then okay, then if it was caused by that, then we'd be responsible.
Sir, why don't you get with Jonathan, the intro there before you leave, and the guy, and also, if you're not getting answers, you want to call me. She's got a great one now. She'll respond to every one of you guys. So, if not, give me a call. We'll get some pop up, we'll give you a call back, and like I told you, I'm not going to get you the answer you want to hear, but I'll give you an answer either way. So, we want to try to help everybody in these areas. That's why I explain easements. If it's private property, I can't go on and do anything with it. It needs to be given to us in order for us to improve it. There's a lot of misconception. We need to go around cleaning out ditches that are on private roads, things like that. We're trespassing. So, there's a lot of things as these come up, trying to listen, and trying to do a lot of education. There's a lot of misinformation out there. That's part of why we have our communications team. It's going to be putting little tidbits out there,
going to try and take as little land as we need. But the fact of the matter is, when we build roads, we have to build them to the safety standard, which is set by the usage. And I can tell you what's going to happen on Low Ground Road. Low Ground Road, if we were, let's say, to leave the lanes at 9 feet, right, and do an 18-foot paved stretch on it, just because it's paved, traffic on that road is going to increase, is going to triple, right? And then it becomes a safety issue because we didn't widen the road properly enough. And so we, for liability purposes, the county does have to build it to a safety specification. And since we have to maintain the stormwater, we have to make it maintainable. And that's why we are, that's why we need to do a better job with the swales, and they take more space. So it's all about fixing the problem right, and sometimes that requires more land.
The pathways aren't necessary for the safety, like, the pathways are not part of the.
But understand on the pathway, that is over utilities, right? And so if we put that in there, that we could put it in there if we want, but it would be over utilities. And those could be butters, or you have the. I don't know, but the problem is the sewer system is right on Low Ground Road. What? No, I'm saying, but the main lines coming from the sewer system, if they're not on there, they will be on there because they have to come out of that sewer system, which is right on the road. So they need the utility space in order to put that on there.
So they're the septic.
No, you still need septic. It's that, and you wouldn't be able to tie into this line with a high pressure line. It's just to connect to the rest of the town. Correct, right. It's actually going to be coming from both directions. Yeah, and long term, yeah. No, we're not going to be tying anywhere on Low Ground or making you tie into it. It's just that we have to get from point A to point B. All right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you, everybody. Use the app. If you don't want to use the app, go to the website.
Also, this presentation